Hi, Stephanie. I will go ahead and get started now. Um, I want to preface this with the fact that this is my very first webinar, and so I'm not certain that this is the first time I'm doing this way. I'm not new to Zoom or being on camera, but doing it like this is very new for me, and so I apologize in advance um, for my lack of expertise at this. So, um, full confidence that I know what I'm talking about in regards to nutrition, operating technology, totally different story. So, um, and again, it was like making sure the emails got out to everyone. We may have some people, come on later, but I'll just go ahead and get started. I wanted this to be more of like a conversation rather than a lecture. So if you want to hop on and interject or ask a question, feel free to put it in the chat at any time. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. So first off, I just want to point out that I know I am not a registered dietitian, nor am I quote unquote nutrition certified. I was a nutrition major before I switched to health and wellness at Texas State. So I have a lot of nutrition hours that do not count towards my degree. A lot of nutrition education. A lot of what I coach to, though, comes from my own personal experience in nutrition. So I started in bikini competitions, and the diet that I went on during my bikini competitions was very effective. And so I draw a lot of my experience from that. However, that's not what I'm giving, and that's not really what we're talking about today, but just to kind of give you an idea of how well-rounded I am in regards to nutrition. I've done it all, heard it all. So yeah, moving right along. Now, I am going to say that a lot of this that I'm going to cover comes from the poll that I put out there, asking questions because I really wanted some insight as to what people dealt with and had questions about nutrition. And so I got a lot of those, and I looked at the most answers that came across most often. And so those are the main things that we're going to address today. And let me also preface this by saying that I do not come from this athletic background. I used to eat everything that I ate came in a paper bag in the window of my car. Okay. So I was not a healthy eater. So no one needs to feel like self-conscious or nervous to ask a question, because trust me, I've been there. And I've done it all, and I've had horrible eating habits and knew nothing about nutrition. So please don't be afraid or intimidated. Also, to let you know that I do have 2 programs that I'm running as far as coaching. I will be releasing or launching another group coaching program beginning of March, which group coaching is a little bit higher price point. I also offer online coaching. It's not one-on-one coaching, but it does give you app access, and it gives you workouts that can be done at home or in the gym. And then it also allows you to track your meals, and it allows you to communicate with me. However, it's not one-on-one coaching to where it's like through the app only. And that I've done priced at $29 a month. And that is only for people that either filled out the poll or come to this webinar, registered for this webinar. So only available to them and only available for a limited time, but that'll come to you in emails, because But I did want everyone to know that this webinar is totally free. Okay. Yes, I am pitching this, but I have to work for a living because unfortunately, I'm not independently wealthy. So yeah. But again, this is all free. And if you delete the emails and unsubscribe, I will not take it personally. Okay. I never do. I am not the coach for everyone, and that's totally okay. So moving right along. All right. Common frustrations. The question that I asked was, what is your biggest challenge with eating healthy? And the response that I got the most was, I don't know what to eat or how much to eat. So we are going to address all of that. Myths. We're going to look at some myths, and I know of a couple. So if there's any that I don't address, if somebody wants to throw it in there, just go ahead. And what I want you to take away is clarity, not complexity. I want you to have just walk away with so much more knowledge simplified for you in regards to eating properly, eating for fat loss. So, okay, now let's dive in. We're going to go over fat loss fundamentals. And that is creating a sustainable calorie deficit through nutrition habits that you can maintain. And so I'm going to break down macros. First of all, macros are fats, carbs, and protein. Okay. Those are your macronutrients. Protein, not an energy source. Okay. So if you're eating protein before your workout, that's fine. But don't think that that's what's going to give you energy to fuel you through a workout. It's essential for muscle growth. Carbs get a bad rap a lot of times. Carbs are your energy source, and they're for performance, and they are not the devil. Okay. They help us have brain clarity and think properly. Fats, those are also an energy source, important for hormone balancing and feeling full. Careful, that's a slippery slope because a little bit of peanut butter is a lot of calories, and so we kind of tend to overdo it with our fats. Now, I want to simplify this and make it as easy to understand as possible. If you don't know what an example, I'll just go over, okay, a banana. Good to eat. It's mostly carbs, okay? Pretty much just carbs. Chicken breast. That's pretty much all protein, okay? Peanut butter. That is going to be a fat source. So many people will say, oh, it's a source of protein. Is there protein in it? Yes. But there's a whole lot more fat in it than protein. So not the best source of protein, okay? But a really good source of fat. And I definitely don't want you to not eat it. It's all about the expectation and fitting in foods where we know that they fit, right? And with marketing tactics, it gets really confusing for people. And I don't blame anyone. I totally get it when they mess up because we're marketed, oh, this is high in protein. And I look at the label and I'm like, no, it's really not. But good on you. You're getting people to buy it, right? So that's where I see a lot of people messing up, and it's not their fault because they're just being marketed. So yeah, you're probably familiar with that. Okay, some other basics of macros. Protein and carbs are 4 calories per gram. Okay. Fat is 9 calories per gram. Okay. So if you are eating 50 grams of protein a day, take 50, multiply it times 4. That's 200. Okay. That means 200 calories of your daily calorie intake are coming from protein, right? Same with carbs, 4 calories per gram. If you look on the label of anything and it says this is 30 grams of carbs, take 30 times 4, it's 120. 120 calories of that are coming from carbs, right? And of course, certain things, certain foods are going to have more carbs and then a little bit of fat content, whatever. But that is the calculation that goes into it. 4 grams of fat, 9 calories per gram. That's why we don't need a whole lot of fat to have a lot of calories, because there's a lot in just 1 gram of fat. So what I do as a coach, and I'm going to try to make this as simple as possible. I usually do not share this formula with anyone that is only paying clients, but I take and I put them on a 40% protein diet. I don't really care about the other numbers because they will balance themselves out. 40% protein. Any woman between the ages of 20 to 80 can be on a 40% protein diet with the calories, and this is going to vary slightly in the calories, but I would bet my entire life savings that she will lose fat and stay healthy and feel full eating at a 40% protein diet. Yes. So that number, and I'm just going to use basic numbers, and I'm also going to write this out so it'll come to you in your emails so it's not so confusing. 1,500 calories a day. That need will vary slightly from woman to woman, okay? And if you take 40% of 1,500 calories, that's 600 calories. 600 calories of your day need to come from protein. And remember that number I told you about, how protein is 4 calories per gram? All right, so to figure out our grams, we're going to divide by 4. 600 divided by 4 equals 150. And just for fun, I'm going to ask you if you have any type of idea how much 150 grams of protein, what that kind of looks like in your diet. 150 grams. Let's say you only eat 3 meals a day. It's hypothetical. I don't eat 3 meals a day. I eat more like 5. And that's just me, okay? That doesn't mean you have to do that too. So divide by 3, that's 50. 50 grams of protein. Do you know what 50 grams of protein looks like? Trust me, it's more than you think. 50 grams of protein at 3 meals a day. I will tell you that a protein shake that you see probably only has 25, maybe 30 grams. So then you've got another 20 grams that you still need to get in that same meal. Why is this so hard? Well, one, it requires intention. And the reason that it's that way is because protein is usually the most expensive part of the meal. If you go to a restaurant, they get stingy with the protein, right? Like, especially if you're getting a salad. I have only certain places I can go and eat a salad because I'm like, that is not 4 ounces. I know what 4 ounces looks like, and that's not it. And this is a $25 salad, and you got stingy with the protein. I'm furious, right? So there's only certain places where I will go and eat a salad. That's typically why a lot of it is really hard. And as I said before, the way that they market things, like, oh, this is high in protein, when that's not a lie. It's just not as high as they want you to think it is, right? So that creates a problem when someone's really trying to increase their grams of protein. And yeah, why is this important? Well, it's super important to know um foods and what they do for our bodies. And I don't know why we don't learn more of this in high school, but it's like very basic stuff that I feel like people should be taught. It's kind of a shame that we don't know more about this. So that's why this is important. Okay. Now, that was a basic macro breakdown. Now moving on to common nutrition mistakes. Undereating or inconsistent eating, I would say, does happen. Common nutrition mistakes. Undereating, I think that we undereat for the goal that we have, or eating inconsistently seems to be really more of the issue that I see. Uh, being super on track Monday through Friday afternoon, and then just kind of, you know, letting it go all over the weekend. That's inconsistent eating, and that can sabotage your fat loss. Okay. And what I want to do here is kind of address that. This is kind of one of those things where it's a constant process and practice. So yeah, it is something that has to be worked on all the time, no matter how long you've been doing this. Or another mistake is over restriction and diet hopping. Diet hopping. Yes. Over restriction, popular fad diets where we eliminate an entire macro group, and a lot of them are good intentions, and I don't want to demonize anything, okay? But however, I'm not a huge fan of diets like keto or, the Whole 30. Um Mainly because I don't see those being very sustainable. Um and what I mean by that is keto, you can't just go to any restaurant and be able to find something. I know a lot of restaurants have accommodated for that, but like, no diet is effective if you can't stick to it. And it's got to be able to, you have to be able to live your life that you want to live. Decide what your priorities are. If going out and eating out all the time and going out and meeting people for drinks is not serving your life anymore, then yeah, it's okay to cut back on a lot of those things. But if going out 1 to 2 times a week is something you really want in your life, then you've got to find a way to adjust to it, or else it's not going to work for you, right? And that's what I see a lot of people falling off the proverbial bandwagon, is because it is too restrictive and it is too difficult. So, or, okay. And here's a big one, biggest one I see: relying on a workout to burn off bad eating. Doesn't work like that, guys. And again, that's also a marketing thing, where I see a lot of these places or activity trackers, or giving gross, ridiculously overestimating someone's calorie burn. Unfortunately, you do not burn nearly as many calories in a workout as you think you do, right? And why? Well, you can start out really strong, right? Like you can start out and you're losing weight, but I've said this before and I'll say it till my lungs give out. The whole reason that we as human beings are walking this planet is because of our body's ability to adapt and adjust very quickly. Our bodies were meant to move. So when we add movement and we're getting good at it and consistent, our body's like, yeah, this is what we do, right? So it's going to adjust. And that workout that you started with, because all you'd been doing was sitting on the couch all day long, it's not quite as effective. And granted, it takes a while for that to happen, but I see the whole, oh, I went and did this long workout and sweat a whole bunch. I can have this extra 500 calories. No, doesn't work that way. That is a very, very common mistake that I see happening. So, just being aware of that, unfortunately, and I'd love to be able to give y'all just consider your workout the fine tuning. Lose the mentality of, I'm doing this for the maximum calorie burn. That's really not the best mentality to have when it comes to your workouts. It should be something that you enjoy and you do because of all the other benefits that you get from it. There's so many more, okay? Calorie burn should be the last thing on your mind with your workout. But that's a song for another time, right? I'll do a whole webinar on why you should love your workout, right? How to love your workout. So now, moving along. So you're like, Lena, what do I do? What do I do? Here's where I'm going to be very, very transparent and honest. If it were me, if I could go back in time, and if I were starting from square one, I would tell you the first thing to do is just start tracking. Just start knowing what you eat. You do not need to download an app, okay? You don't need to use the internet at all. You can start with this, okay? A basic notepad with pen and paper. And it can look as simple as I had banana and a coffee. And then I had In-N-Out burger and fries with a Diet Coke. And then that's it. You don't need to calculate your calories necessarily. I'm saying this is starting from square one. Let's say you do this for 1 week, okay? 7 days. You can do anything for 7 days, right? 7 days of tracking what you eat. And when I say tracking, just write it down. Just write it down. I learned in my nutrition assessment class that people that did this were 50 to 100% more successful just writing it down, because when you write it down, you automatically make better choices and you're more mindful of the amount that you're eating, knowing that you're holding yourself accountable for it, okay? And you may be thinking, well, that's not enough. No, it is enough. It is. In the beginning, when you're first getting started, just writing it down. That's where I started. And if I go look, I can show y'all the actual notebook I started with. And all I did was write down, I went to Chick-fil-A and I got nuggets with fruit, like as if that's so great, right? But I was pretty proud of myself. And I started doing this and I go back and I'm like, wow, I am so repetitive. I ate the same crap over and over and over. And I thought that there was all this variety in my diet. No, no, not at all. And what I thought was eating healthy was like, a banana. That's not saying that banana's not healthy. It's just like that was, oh, it's so great. Yeah. So that is where I would start. If you are just completely like, oh my God, my head's going to explode, like I don't understand. Whatever. I'm not judging you at all. I'm saying just go to Target or wherever, get yourself one of these and just write down what you eat. Okay. That's where you can start. And that is enough. It really is. Yeah, but start tracking. Eventually, once you do that, then you can estimate your calories or take note of calories. When I started doing that, that really changed the game too. Well, I will be honest, full transparency here. When I started doing this, just writing down my foods, I lost weight without ever having to enter calories. I lost weight. I lost fat because I really saw it on paper and it kind of changed my life in an instant, seeing what I wrote down. And so, but as I moved on and then I started getting into competing was a totally different thing. So I had to know how many calories, bought a food scale, and yeah, the rest is history. But when I have a client who wants to, when the goal is fat loss, we do track with calories. And that I've gotten some pushback from that over the years, not like from clients, but like, others in the profession that, well, that goes down getting this obsessive behavior. And it's like, hey, I get it. I understand. But if you wanted to save $20,000, you're going to keep a budget, aren't you? Yeah. Same concept. If you want to pay off debt, if you want to pay off $20,000 in debt in 6 months' time, you're going to have a plan, aren't you? You're going to have a budget and you're going to track your spending. Same concept. So I know being a grown up and adult is so lame sometimes, right? I know. So how do you adjust nutrition for real life? Well, that's the eternal question. You have to make it your own. I'm a coach. I give guidelines and yeah, I give tons of suggestions. I love to help people, right? But I don't have the same taste palette that you have. You have to make it your own. And understand that it is a process. Okay. If in the first 30 days, all you do is write things down, good. Give yourself a huge round of applause. That's amazing. Don't minimize what you're doing, the steps that you're taking. Rome was not built in a day, and a body transformation takes a long time. It's a long process to really make all these adjustments. So give yourself grace. And like I said, if you start there and that's all you get done, that's amazing. Okay. Because eventually in time, you will take it up a notch. All right. Especially when you have results. That's super motivating for everyone. How to adjust for real life. Start just reading labels. And yeah, that'll blow your mind too. Make more meals at home. And like, I need to take my own advice because I love to eat out. I hate to cook. Just, this is never going to change. I hate to cook and that will always be that way. But I do it because I'm a grown up. But that's why I'm a huge fan of meal prepping because I love leftovers. because that keeps me from having to cook. So that's one of the things I do. Now, how to eat for fat loss. While we're on the subject, let me go ahead and just say that there is a difference between fat loss and weight loss. Okay. Weight loss is that number on the scale going down. Fat loss is losing fat, which is what we want to do, which is what most women come to me wanting. They don't really want to lose weight because they know enough about me. They know how big I am into weightlifting. They see me and they're like, oh, wow, you're not super overly muscular. Oh, cool. So they're good with doing fat loss with resistance training also. And so I coach nutrition for fat loss. A high protein diet is going to give you losing fat while building muscle simultaneously. And yes, it does work. It's very effective. And my latest client, who now that you've joined this, you will get an email where I talk about her and show clips and photos, like video clips of her working out. Her name is Justine, and she has lost fat and gained muscle simultaneously. And she's also 50 years old, or 58 years old. I'm sorry, 58, and has gone through menopause, had tried everything, nothing worked, and looks amazing. She looks amazing and living proof that this really works. So yes, that is what I coach. That's not to say that everything else out there is bad, but the majority of women that I come into contact with they use the word toned. And in order to achieve that toned aesthetic that they describe, a high protein diet is essential. Fortunately, unfortunately, you don't have to eat 40% protein in order to live a healthy lifestyle. No, you don't. But it's the simplest way that I know to get the goal that most people want. And that is why I coach to that. So, common pitfalls, how to avoid them. Common pitfalls. Oh man, there's lots of them. Falling for advertising, marketing tactics. And that's just like you don't need to beat yourself up about it. They're really good at it. And that's kind of why, I've become numb to it, I guess, because I've been in this for so long. But yeah, common pitfalls or yeah. Okay. I'll just be real transparent. I posted this thing recently that said that 95% of the health and fitness advice that you get out there is complete and total crap. And I didn't want to sound like arrogant or bullying or anything like that, but it's the truth, guys. It really is crap. Mainly because it's the focus on all the wrong things. Like this food is anti-inflammatory and do this type of cardio for the ultimate fat burn. We don't burn fat, okay? There's no exercise that's going to burn off belly fat. Anti-inflammatory foods, pretty much every vegetable is anti-inflammatory, okay? It's just the wrong focus. I cannot stress it enough that it is all about being consistent. Someone could come to me and they could need to lose 100 pounds. They could have grown up with never being shown a healthy habit, uh, have all kinds of health issues and, never stepped foot in a gym, never done any type of exercise. And if they said to me, Leanna, I can't afford, to hire a trainer, all I can do, I'm going to get up and I'm going to walk a mile every day, Monday through Friday. And I'm going to drink more water. I would say that is a fantastic plan. You have my full support. And I would hug that person because it's enough. Consistency is the most important thing. I wouldn't tell them, well, are you going to make sure that you don't buy processed foods? Or, you really do need to think about going to the gym. I would say none of that. I would say that is a great place to start. That is wonderful because that person doing that consistently for 12 weeks or in 12 weeks, they could blow past the other person that goes in super hardcore to the gym with their bag and all their crap. And, it's all about consistency. And I would say the most common pitfall, most common mistake is that people they overthink it. They overcomplicate it. Start where you are right now. Start small and get good at it. And then you will naturally progress from there. It's exactly what I did. And that is the most sustainable way to do it. I've had coaches along the way, and hiring a coach is a great investment, but it's when you're ready. And so I like to stay available and I love to answer questions. And I'm not judging anyone of their timeline or anything like that. I will say that when something is a priority, our actions reflect that. But you can start with the smallest step and make so much improvement if you just stay consistent. And the best way that I know to be consistent or develop consistency is keeping it simple. Because life happens. And it doesn't mean that you don't care, but unforeseen things are going to happen. So keep it simple in the beginning. So, and that is kind of a wrap for now. I think once this is over, I'm going to think of like a million things that I should have said, but I hope that this was super helpful for anyone, or I hope it was really encouraging for anyone who has just felt extremely overwhelmed. There's nothing wrong with you. It's completely normal to feel that way. And also with nutrition, you're not supposed to be good at this, okay? This isn't something that you should just know. I mean, I would love that people were more educated on these things, but feeling overwhelmed, that's okay. That's totally normal. And I think I got like a panic attack one time. When I started, I was like in the healthy living section of HEB, and I was just like, oh my God, I don't know what to do. What do I do? Do I have to drink a protein shake before I go work out? Does that gonna nullify my workout if I don't drink one? That's where I was. Okay. So we all start somewhere. So understand there is no judgment from me. And please reach out to me with questions or suggestions about, hey, next time put captions on your webinar. Okay. Stephanie has a question. Go over the basics of figuring out how to calculate macros for what, like for someone that's 168 wanting to go for 1 to 45. Yes. Okay. Love this question. If you are wanting to go from 168 to 145, and keep in mind, I'm going to give you my best recommendation. This is not, I'm going to give a much slower approach, a not extreme, because of the fact that you know, slow is more sustainable, right? 168 minus 145, that's 23 pounds. Ideally, we want to lose 1 to 2 pounds per week. So let's just go with 20 weeks, right? Or I don't know, like 23 minus what's like, it's like 16 weeks. So 16 times. Let's go with 16 weeks, right? So that's like what, 4 months? And that would give you like approximately, we'll go in the middle with like 1.5 pounds per week. First of all, the first thing I would do is determine like what that person is eating on a regular basis, like how many calories they're consuming daily, like now. And in order to lose that amount of weight, I would probably, and also another thing I want to throw in there is the issue of alcohol. If the person drinks alcohol, that's a totally different webinar because, yeah. The macro calculation I would give would be a 1,500 calorie a day allowance, 7 days per week. All right. And what I'm trying to do is show my math on the screen. But if not, I can just use my calculator. 1,500 calories. All right. Now, I would want that person to eat 40% protein. Okay. So then I would multiply times 0.4, right? 600 calories need to come from protein divided by 4. That's 150 grams. Okay. 150 grams of protein. Now, 1,500 minus 600 is 900. 900 calories left that need to come from fat and carbs. I don't care how those end up. Don't care. Now, what would I do to structure a meal like that or a daily eating like that? Well, that's going to largely depend on that person. But that person's preferences of, first of all, how many times a day do they want to eat? So then that breaks it down even more. What's their work schedule like? Do they have time to make breakfast in the morning? What's their favorite meal of the day? Me, I have my last meal of the day at 8 o'clock at night, usually. So, but as far as figuring out the basics of fat loss, weight loss, you can go on, find lots of different calorie calculators online. But if you are at least 5 foot and then shorter than 6 foot, you're probably going to lose weight at 1,500 calories, especially if you're eating at 40% protein. Okay. And a lot of those calorie calculators online will probably give you a lower calorie count. I don't ever want anyone, any female, to go below 1,300 calories in a day, mainly because that's just not sustainable. I coach women to eat for their health. And so it's going to naturally be, healthier carbs. It just kind of happens when you eat lean protein and lots of vegetables and fruit. I mean, that's just how it ends up. So yes, someone wanting to lose 23 pounds, I would put them at 1,500 calories at 40% protein and adjust it accordingly. Like if you're eating that and you're still hungry, may have to adjust. But again, that we're just using those numbers. And a lot of those, online calculators, you'll put in like your height, your activity level, and then it'll give you this range of calories to stay in. But it also very much depends on the person. Um, it's just that, as I've been doing this a long time, I have seen every woman that has followed my calculations for their diet, 100% of them lost the weight. It's very, very effective. The ones that didn't stick to it didn't have significant weight loss, and they knew why. They knew why. So, is it easy? You know what, guys, being consistent in anything is not easy, because what's easy to do is also easy not to do. And when you keep track, it does make us way, way more aware, right? So I hope that sufficiently answered your question. If you're also on a high protein, low carb, and like that, I hear lots of people, like, they ask me, "Are your diets low carb?" Well, they tend to be, because the average American diet is high fat, high carb. So when I give them 40% protein, that's like, "Oh, this is low carb." Well, it's really not low carb, but compared to before, I guess, yeah, it kind of is low carb, right? But I never want to eliminate any macronutrient group. I don't like any diet that does that, mainly because we just can't live like that. You can't live without carbs. You can't live without protein. You can't live without fat. So they all need to be included, and balance with each other. My client, Justine, who has this amazing fat loss at 58, she said that the thing that struck her with me was that she kind of heard that, "Oh, you need to eat more protein." And when we had our consultation, our one-on-one, that was something that I mentioned, that I do give high protein diets. And so that struck a nerve with her, like, or a aha, like, "Oh, well, this is what I've heard. And so now I'm going to try it out." So, yes. Okay. Well, I'm so glad that answered your question. And do feel free to ask me any more. And I wish I was more familiar with this webinar software that I could put up a nice little calculation up there. But that's the simplest way I know how to tell you to calculate your own macros. Take the amount of calories that you find that you need to lose weight and multiply those calories by 0.4. And that's how much protein you should be getting. And just look at those overall calories and the amount of protein. If you hit those for a month, if you hit those numbers and don't experience fat loss, I will be mind blown that it's impossible. Okay. That is how confident I am. And when you combine that with resistance training, the results are beautiful, because you're strengthening your bones, your tendons, your ligaments. You're building confidence in yourself. You're getting curvier yet smaller in all the right places. Okay. It's phenomenal. And I don't know why it's not more like mainstream mentality. Anyway, I could talk about this all day long and never get tired of it, because it's my passion. I love what I do. And I look forward to doing more of these. So thank you all for joining me. And I hope that this is emailed to you so you could watch it again. If there's anything else, feel free to email me and ask me questions. So, bye.